looks like it's the iconography of a dollar bill or a federal institution. This is an alien institution. The Federal Reserve did not exist until 1913. At the same time, they created the income tax. It didn't exist. All the money you pay goes to the private Federal Reserve. All the other taxes run the government. These private banks that operate through this front consortium, the private shareholders of this counterfeit building, this counterfeit federal institution that issue counterfeit legal tender notes of debt. Every dollar is a dollar of debt on the people instead of the money being a symbol of exchange. They get the entire world through their magician trick. They had the government pass a law saying that they get interest on money that's created just into circulation. This is a group that wasn't content to loan out $1. For every $1 that's deposited, they weren't content to be able to loan out $9 or $10. And when they got rid of the Glass-Steagall Act, 80 plus years into their system, when they got rid of the Glass-Steagall Act, it allowed those inner banks who controlled the SEC to come out and issue thousands of trillions of dollars of fraudulent derivatives or basically financial paper counterfeit garbage. And they did this knowing it would implode the world economy down the line, but they would use that fraudulent paper to buy up the planet. Then they would hold the planet hostage to the debt on the way down and say, give us a world government run by private bankers. What's happening in Europe right now? Shareholders of the Federal Reserve through the European Central Bank are saying the 15 permanent members, main members of the EU, and the other 5 or 6 members that are entering it must totally waive all of their sovereignty and their financial power ever to pull out of economic agreements with the, quote, economic union of the European Central Bank, ECB, that sits on top of it. These guys, as we speak, are literally bringing down Europe into a pure financial dictatorship. They are stealing the pension funds. They are devaluing the money. They are laying waste by design with economic degradation to destroy people and industry and to put the general population on a barely survival level welfare system.
Terrorists!
This is about economic domination and takeover. We are identifying the real enemy, the private run-for-profit Federal Reserve, because they're not going to give us quarter. They're not going to back down. They want to run us into the ground, totally dominate us. Their plan is going well. Just like the government hasn't failed its drug policy. The war on drugs is an incredible, incredible success for the bankers. $500 billion a year they get to launder. Police state they get to set up in its name. They just caught the Sinaloa cartel with the ATF, FBI, and DEA shipping in tens of tons of cocaine a month under U.S. government authorization. This has come out in the El Paso Times, Chicago Tribune, as long as they launder the drug money through the Federal Reserve. This is a fraud, a fake federal building that launders cocaine and heroin money. This building is run by the people that finance criminal governments, dictators, terrorist groups, narcotics trafficking. We now know that 8 agencies were helping ship guns directly to Mexico, to cartels that would knock out the other cartels, not laundering the money from the cocaine and the schmack and all of it through these coffers. That's what you're talking about. Hardcore organized criminals. So people ask me, why go after the Federal Reserve? I got this in Dallas and in Houston. We understand it's bad, but why not go after Goldman Sachs, JP Morgan, Bank of America? Why not go after the 6 big mega banks that own the shares in the private Federal Reserve? We are. This is the head. This is their consortium that has the government charter to engage in this fraud. And by the way, their charter is up in 2 years. Yes, yes, they're going to lose their charter, ladies and gentlemen. This is America and the world's chance to throw these people off. They are within just a few inches in Europe of throwing the European Central Bank, the private bank, off. The world is in total revolt against the narcotic trafficking, warmongering, weapons selling, global bank cartels.
And San Antonio ain't putting up with it. Are we, San Antonio? Are we putting up with that?
On TV they have shows like The Sopranos where fictitious, they tell you, oh, organized crime's only Italians. It's these ideas of, or people that protest Wall Street, they're all just communists. It's all these labels. Let me tell you something. The real organized criminals that are about 1 billion times bigger and more evil than fictitious Sopranos are in that building right now. This is a metastasization cancer system posing as a federal building, and we must restore the Glass-Steagall Act. We must claw back the tens of trillions they've stolen in banker bailout money and intend for us to pay back in taxes to them. You got to love that. We have got to call for investigations and prosecutions. They've already had Senate committees come out and say that Goldman Sachs and J.P. Morgan and other companies have engaged in serious felonies. It's time to start arresting them. It's time to start prosecuting them. They are not going to give us quarter. You think I like coming out here to the biggest gangsters in the world and calling for their arrest when they're murdering killers, drug dealers? These people don't play games. They bring down whole countries. And now they want to bring down America and bankrupt everybody. We've got to come confront them and call them what they are. Narcotics trafficking murderers.
Jail the banksters.
That's what you are, and everybody knows it. And everybody's going to find out exactly what you're doing, exactly what you're up to, and we're going to end this Federal Reserve and restore the Republic. This is the heart of the New World Order. This isn't just a private banking consortium basically masquerading as a federal agency to control currency and credit. This is a group worldwide bringing down sovereign nations and running the narcotics traffic across the globe.
And we recognize who the real threat is, and we're not going to be compromised and COINTELPRO by false movements and false ideas to wrap us up and get us looking this way like it's happening now. We are focusing on the real legitimate issues. And it's up to all of you to spread the word, hand out DVDs, hand out flyers. San Antonio, we have to make an impact, wake the people up.
Exactly. This is an information war, and the bankers want to say, oh, capitalism's what's corrupt. Private property's what's corrupt. That's why this 1% is exempt from taxes. They're the ones that wrote the rules to be exempt. Warren Buffett, who got banker bailout money, he's not calling for his taxes to be raised. They put forward his plan. His plan's on middle-class people. His plan is taxes across the board. He's a liar. He wants your tax money. Not because he wants the money, they issue it, but because they want to hurt you and break you down so you can't become stable and wealthy and strong. That's what's going on. They make the damn money. They just don't want you to have any of it. You understand that? People, we need to turn loose the power of the currency for the people with a stable monetary system. We can debate that, but we know we need to get these criminals out of our country and in prison. Money laundering criminal bankers running our country in the ground. Hey, listen, I'm no fan of government programs because I know they're always used to control people. But the point is, there's all these old people across the nation, like my grandmother, who can't live on their Social Security. She worked like 40, 50 years, and there's no way she can live on her Social Security with the dollar devaluation and the COLA frozen. You could take all the Social Security away. It wouldn't pay 1/10 of the black hole of debt these people have created. It isn't our debt. So my point is, they get their money taken that they've stolen before we start throwing old ladies out on the street. You need to go tell all the so-called liberals saying, let's just take the rich people's money. The folks folks, they're talking about the $2 trillion that's domestic money would only run this country for a few months, ladies and gentlemen. Again, there's the mega rich that are exempt from everything, launder the money, run the whole scam, and then there's the people down below who don't know what's happening, and there's the people in the middle class that the bankers are trying to attack by sicking people that have been destroyed by this system on them. And once they've wiped out the middle class, we'll be just like third world countries. No hope of crawling out of this. They're using economic warfare against us to destroy people's upward mobility, and that's why they're enemies.
Number one.
You know why the Republican leadership and Congressman Issa won't bring up what's in the major newspapers, won't bring up what's in the court filings the feds have declared national security on? They won't bring up the narcotics trafficking of the ATF with the Sinaloa drug cartel and others, because guess what? In the court documents, it goes back 5.5 years to Bush. They're all involved. You think the cocaine being brought in here and the guns being flown out ended in the 1980s? It never stopped. The whole thing is run by these crooks.
Like they say, Alex, why are you so mad? Why are you so mad? We don't want to be affiliated with Alex. You're getting too mad.
Yeah, well, we better get mad because what's happening is we're entering the end game right now. These guys are imploding our economy. They're going for broke, and we need to break people out of their trance. We need to break people out of their trance to focus in and to see the real threat and to realize just how bad it is. As I was just saying, it is confirmed in my years, almost 17 years on air. I have seen AP articles. I've seen San Antonio Express News articles. I've seen Esquire articles, Washington Post articles, where Federal Reserve banks are caught with $20 billion in drug money, $100 billion, $376 billion. Wells Fargo and Wachovia just a few months ago. It's ongoing. The people, we should get mad about that. These people made drugs illegal. They made drugs illegal so they could create a black market and basically have tax collectors that are in your house stealing your computer and your stereo to go buy their goods. And you know that? The crackheads and the robbers are the tax collectors of the Federal Reserve. They dump their drugs out on the street, and then their zombies on it run out and rob everybody and pump the gold right back into these people. I mean, they know how to gang rape a society. And it's time to realize just how criminal these people are and call them out all the way. We're not going to play patty cake with these criminals anymore. Federal Reserve affiliated groups are always involved funding gun grabbing, disarming the American people. It's simple. They're a mafia. And if anybody from the mainstream media or anybody else doubts they're criminals, Bank of America is one of the biggest shareholders of the private Federal Reserve, and they've been caught in places like Florida taking...
This thing's going out on me.
Yeah. They've been caught in places like... This is jacked up, Hooray. I don't even need this thing. They've been caught in places like Florida taking houses that they never even had a deed to that were fully paid for with cash.
It's not like they were making mistakes. It's not like they were making mistakes taking houses. They were taking them fully and outright that had been paid for in cash that they never had a deed to, and they knew it. They're bloodthirsty mafia, and just because the mafia has a fake federal building doesn't mean they're above the law.
That's right.
You just call him, right?
Yeah, Herman Cain, head of the Federal Reserve in Kansas City. That shows how desperate they are. They got the Rick Perrys and the Herman Cains to act like Ron Paul, but it doesn't matter because the truth is gaining ground every second, and time is running out for these murderers.
And ladies and gentlemen, you shouldn't doubt yourself. You don't talk to people, you talk to your family, you talk to your friends, and they might not get it. But you know what? You are being an example of leadership. You are being an example of an informed American, of an informed citizen. So keep that up. You are going to make the difference even if you do not give up waking the people.